Picture a prosperous underwater mermaid kingdom. The citizens are wealthy, demand is soaring, and merchants are busier than ever. But there is a problem. The markets are completely empty. They have simply run out of things to sell. This is a chart showing an economy operating at maximum capacity. We can visualize this using a production possibility curve, or PPC. The kingdom is currently sitting right on the outer edge of this curve. They have hit the absolute hard limit of what their current resources and workers can physically produce. If the royal treasury simply hands out more coins to stimulate demand, it will not create more goods. With a fixed supply of products and more money chasing them, merchants will just raise their prices. You don't get more output, you just get bidding wars and inflation. To actually solve this, the government has to look past immediate spending and focus on the long term. They need to deploy supply-side policies. These are long-term strategies designed to permanently increase the total productive capacity of the economy. Instead of trying to print more money to buy what isn't there, the kingdom has to build a larger economic engine. They need to upgrade their actual factors of production, their land, labor, capital, and enterprise. There are two main ways to upgrade those factors. The first is through interventionist measures. This requires the state to step in directly, spending its own capital to improve the economy's base inputs. One method is funding education and training programs. By investing in schools and retraining schemes, the government ensures its workforce develops better skills. A highly trained labor force works faster, adapts to new industries more easily, and produces higher quality output. Another approach is investing heavily in physical infrastructure. Building new transport networks, better roads, or more efficient power grids directly reduces both the time and money businesses spend moving their goods from the factory to the consumer. These interventionist policies cost the Treasury a lot of money up front. The trade-off is that this spending aims to raise the intellectual and physical ceiling of the kingdom's entire workforce for the future. The second approach uses different market-based measures. Instead of spending government money, the state pivots to rewriting the rules, stepping back to let the free market operate more efficiently on its own. This starts with deregulation. By stripping away complex red tape and excessive legal barriers, the state lowers the cost of entry for new businesses. More startups can launch, which forces existing companies to compete, innovate, and lower their prices. The state might also use privatization, selling off government-run assets, like the national telecommunications provider, to private owners. Introducing the profit motive pushes these new owners to cut inefficiencies that a state monopoly might ignore. Next up, there are labor market reforms. The government might reduce the legal power of trade unions or cut unemployment benefits. The goal here is to make the labor market highly flexible, encouraging workers to actively seek employment and accept competitive wages. Finally, lowering direct taxes serves as a massive behavioral incentive. If the state cuts income and corporate taxes, citizens are motivated to work longer hours, and businesses have the extra capital they need to invest in new technologies, simply because they keep more of what they earn. Market-based measures don't necessarily build new resources from scratch. They remove the regulatory friction that holds existing resources back from reaching their maximum potential. This graph maps the production possibility curve. When a nation increases the quality and quantity of its resources, that hard limit shifts entirely outward, from PPC-1 to PPC-2. The kingdom can now physically produce more goods than ever before. Looking at this on a macroeconomic scale, this graph shows the aggregate supply curve shifting to the right. Notice how the real GDP increases from point Y to Y1 and then to Y2. This rightward shift clearly illustrates the primary goal. The economy becomes capable of producing a much higher quantity of goods and services without putting upward pressure on the overall price level. There is a catch to all of these policies: the problem of time lags. If a country overhauls its education system or starts pouring concrete for a high-speed rail line, the economic benefits won't be felt by next Tuesday. It takes years and sometimes decades for those investments to materialize into a more productive economy. There is also a secondary limitation. Even if a country successfully expands its productive capacity, the economy will not grow if there is spare capacity and insufficient demand. If consumers aren't actively buying, businesses won't bother producing those newly available goods. Because of this, supply-side policies are ill-suited for solving an immediate, short-term economic crisis. They are tools for the long game. When analyzing these policies for an exam, it is common to confuse fiscal policy tools with supply-side policy tools. The difference lies in the government's objective. This flowchart breaks it down. Fiscal policy aims to influence aggregate demand, while supply-side policy targets a different objective, increasing aggregate supply. It is also worth noting that supply-side policies are designed exclusively to increase aggregate supply. No government implements these measures with the intention of reducing it. Ultimately, economic strength is built on the long-term capacity to produce. A kingdom grows its wealth by expanding its foundation for production, ensuring it keeps up with the demands of its citizens well into the future.